If you're a Spanish or Italian speaker learning American English, you might have noticed that native speakers have trouble understanding you sometimes, even though your grammar is good and your vocabulary is really strong. The issue is pronunciation, and specifically, there are five sounds that Spanish and Italian speakers consistently struggle with. Hi, I'm Thomas. I've taught Spanish and Italian speakers for over 18 years, and I know exactly which pronunciation features give you the most trouble. Today, I'm going to show you my 35 lesson pronunciation series and tell you which 14 lessons are specifically designed for Spanish and Italian speakers. Let's get started. Spanish and Italian speakers face five main pronunciation challenges in American English. One of the most common is the V versus the B sounds. Spanish and Italians treat these as the same sound or very similar sounds, so berry and very sound identical. Americans hear these as completely different. Another common area to improve is final consonants. Spanish and Italian often drops or weakens final consonants. Desk becomes des, stopped becomes stop. But in English, final consonants carry meaning. Desk versus desks is the difference between plural and singular. The Y versus the J sound, like yellow versus jello, is also challenging for Spanish speakers. And vowel length and quality is an important area to focus on too. Latin languages only have five vowel sounds, but English has more than a dozen. You need to learn distinctions that aren't familiar, like the difference between ship and sheep. Word stress is another common difficulty. Latin language's stress follows different patterns than English stress. You can't transfer your native stress rules to English words. Why do these challenges happen? In Spanish and Italian, ba and ba are either the same sound or very close. Your brain just doesn't distinguish them the way that American English does. Spanish and Italian tend to drop or weaken final consonants too, especially in casual speech. But English maintains the final consonants clearly. And stress rules are different from American stress rules too. Latin languages tend to stress the second to last syllable, but English stress is less predictable. These aren't mistakes, they're just differences between the languages. Once you know what to practice, you can fix them. I published a 35 lesson pronunciation series, and 14 of these lessons are specifically useful for Spanish and Italian speakers. Right now, 8 lessons are already available. You can work on a lot of different vowel pairs, lessons on I versus E, versus a versus and others. You can practice the V sound in lesson 17. You can work on the American R sound in lesson 13. And you can start learning stress patterns. Coming soon in the next couple of months, I'll release lessons on the Y versus J, like yellow versus jello. I'll cover S versus Z, which matters in final positions, like cats versus dogs. Definitely different. I'll also teach final consonants explicitly. And I'll cover rhythm and linking so you sound more natural. Subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss these lessons. They're critical for Spanish and Italian speakers. Here's how I recommend that you work through this playlist. Start with the V sound in lesson 17. This is probably the most noticeable feature of a Spanish or Italian accent. Practice berry versus very until V sounds natural and distinct from the B. Next, practice vowel pairs in lesson 5 through 8. Spanish only has five vowels, so you need to train your ear and your mouth to produce English vowel distinctions. Focus on the ones that cause you the most confusion. Then, when it comes out, work on final consonants in lesson 28. This will teach you to maintain final consonants clearly instead of dropping them. This is critical for being understood. You don't have to do all 14 lessons in order. Start with the ones that address your biggest challenges. Then come back and work through the rest. So go ahead and subscribe to this channel and turn on the notifications. I release a new pronunciation lesson every Friday, and over the next several months, all 14 lessons for Spanish and Italian speakers will be available. Playlist currently has 8 lessons, and it'll grow to 14 as the series continues. The full series will have 35 lessons with 14 specifically selected for Spanish and Italian speakers. Good luck with your pronunciation journey. I'm looking forward to helping you sound clearer and more confident in American English. Thanks for watching and enjoy the series.